The two most important people in my life as a youngster were obviously my parents. I was very lucky to have them involved in my life, and was blessed to have two parents that cared about me and what I did. They, from a parenting standpoint, have certainly molded me and made me what I am today. I began officiating when I was in high school. I officiated the youth rec league matches in our area, and I guess that's the first time I put on a striped shirt. And then when I went to the University of Virginia, I actually refereed several of the wrestle-offs for teammates, and our head coach asked me to do that, and I did it. And then when I graduated from the University of Virginia, I started officiating high school wrestling immediately in the state of Virginia. I started doing Old Dominion matches, which is about 25 minutes away from my house. And once I started doing those matches, I got some exposure to teams that came to wrestle those two teams. And I was selected to referee the Colonial Championships, Colonial Athletic Association Championships, and from there it just kind of snowballed. I got the Southern Conference and the Atlantic Coast Conference, and then eventually into the Pac-10 and the Big Ten. Once I got out of dental school, I started officiating and traveled quite a bit because I wasn't married yet. And it was a bit of a struggle. It's still a bit of a struggle during wrestling season. During the months of February and March, I'm lucky enough that I'm surrounded by a great staff, great women that are very aware about how passionate I am about wrestling and officiating, and they work with me, and they bend but they don't break. Also, and most importantly, my wife, tremendous sacrifices that she's had to make over the year as far as the kids and me not being there when I probably should have been there, but I was off refereeing, and she, let me put my wishes ahead of hers and our families probably at certain times. And anyone that's officiated at this level knows what I'm talking about. Our wedding was the week after the national tournament because it was the first Saturday that I had open. From an officiating standpoint, I would obviously say my father is the most important person in my life as far as teaching me, talking to me, counseling to me, helping me, and Tom Galen to a large extent, a great friend, great official, and we spent hours and hours and hours talking about officiating. I did my very first NCAA championship in 1995 at the University of Iowa, and it was an incredible experience. I think I've done, if I do the math right, this is my 16th or 17th one. I think I've done 13 finals, and every one is unique and special in its own way. Certainly when I started out, you're just happy to be there and happy to be able to have spit in your mouth to blow the whistle, because it's certainly nerve-wracking from an officiating point of view. But over the years, I think I've turned into be a pretty good official, and I expect to be doing a finals every time I put a whistle in my mouth. Probably the most memorable match for me as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned is the Metcalf-Caldwell match. I had that match, and it was a shocker. I would think everyone would agree with that, except maybe Carter Jordan and Caldwell. I had that match in the All-Star tournament that year, and Metcalf tech-fouled Caldwell in the second period. So when I drew the Caldwell-Metcalf match, I was kind of pleasantly surprised because again, as I said, I had the All-Star match earlier, and I thought, well, this won't be too tough of a match to have, and it turned out to be a barn burner and one for the ages. Certainly a very, very memorable match. Being an official in wrestling certainly has, I would say it takes a unique personality to be successful. You know that you have a job to do as an official. It's not the same job as coach of wrestler A, and it's not the same job as coach of wrestler B. My job is to be neutral and unbiased, and to make the call or interpret a situation based on my interpretation of the rules. It's an incredible, humbling experience to be selected as a member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. I was really, really shocked when I received a letter from Leroy. I almost didn't believe it. Had to make a few phone calls to see if it was true. But it is, and here I am, and so I'm going to enjoy the moment. Wrestling has brought me in contact with so many people that I never would have come in contact with if it were not just for wrestling and officiating. And so I'm grateful for all those experiences and all the wonderful memories. And thank you to all the officials I've worked with, that I currently work with. We're still in the skillet every day. It's kind of hard to describe to you what it feels like to have a whistle in your mouth in front of that many people and know that you could possibly, play a role in the outcome of the match. And certainly as an official, that's the last thing you want to do. You want to fly under the radar and not be noticed, and that's been my goal every time I've stepped on the mat with a whistle in my mouth. So thank you to everybody, thank you to the Hall, and thank you to my parents and my wife and kids.